Chapter 1 Your Royal Highness, a country cannot live without a master for a day. You are listening at famvetv.info. The prince is awake. In a ward, several people surrounded a young man lying on the bed and asked with great concern, "Prince Tarek, are you feeling better?" Li Daniu woke up after a hangover, and found that he was surrounded by several white people, and he was instantly confused, and the several white people in his sight were still talking to him. I don't /t know English. Li Daniu /s first reaction was to tell those white people that he couldn't /t understand English, but before he could say it, Li Daniu found that he seemed to be able to understand what the other party said. What /s the situation? Li Daniu /s ears can clearly hear that the words spoken by the white people are definitely not Chinese. Moreover, according to Li Daniu /s experience in hundreds of Hollywood blockbusters, it is certain that the white people speak English, but why can he understand it a native Chinese, in addition to reading some English texts with English in class and memorizing some long-forgotten words in order to cope with the exam? Li Daniu said that although he is a college student, he really did not pass the CT.4 exam. Before he had time to think about why he could understand English, Li Daniu discovered that several white people called himself a prince, Prince Tarek. Could it be that my parents who have been separated for many years finally found me? My real name is Tarek. I am actually a prince. Li Daniu almost burst into tears. Finally, the end of all hardships has come. What is the rich second generation? Lao Tzu, but the second generation of Wang. When a series of images of luxury cars, beauties, private yachts and so on appeared in his mind, Li Daniu couldn't /t help but slap himself hard. It hurts. Li Daniu thought painfully and happily. It /s not a dream, it /s really not a dream. I want the king to return, Tsuehua, you will never believe it. What did you miss? Several white people were startled by Li Daniu /s sudden self-mutilation, and fell silent instantly. Tarek, Prince, are you okay? An older white man said cautiously. We all know that the death of His Majesty the King and Queen made you very sad, but because of this, you should take heart. Get up, hold the enthronement ceremony as soon as possible. The country can /t be left alone for a day. Li Daniu was brought back to reality from the world of obscenity by this sentence. The king and queen have passed away. Allow me to be crowned. Li Daniu was still in a moment of melancholy just now. How should he face his parents whom he had never met before? Your Highness, we have suspended your studies for you. Although Harvard University is one of the best universities in the world, our country really needs you. Li Daniu was thinking about how he should be more sad, when he heard a sentence that made him stunned. Suspension procedures, Harvard University. Li Daniu didn't /t pay attention at all. The sentence he blurted out was also in English, and his mind was already filled with several question marks. It really years since I graduated. The domestic non-renowned university I went to actually has a nickname called Harvard University. Am I kidding myself? Li Daniu looked around in a daze. This is undoubtedly a single ward, a little luxurious, and the facilities and equipment are not like those in China. Looking out the window, there are big signs in English on several tall buildings. Taking a deep breath, Li Daniu recalled the story of last night, because Li Daniu /s favorite Tsuehua is getting married, and the groom is not Li Daniu, so he was a little sad, bought a bottle of Nyo Air, a bag of peanuts, and went back to his rented house to drink alone. Although Li Daniu /s name is more masculine, he is actually a nerd-type creature with a low to medium physique, and his alcohol capacity is naturally not very good, so until now, Li Daniu has no idea whether he has finished the bottle of Nyo Er. Here comes the problem. How did he go abroad after being drunk? What about visas and passports that he has never touched before? How can I understand English? Li Daniu absolutely does not believe it, because he has watched too many Hollywood blockbusters, and he has accumulated a lot of money, and suddenly realized such nonsense reasons, because if he can learn a foreign language in this way, Li Daniu should be most proficient in Japanese. raising his own hands, Li Daniu observed carefully and confirmed that these were not his hands. /s a very contradictory sentence, but this is Li Daniu /s truest thought, crossed over. Li Daniu, who was a little disappointed because he was not found by the king /s parents who had been separated for many years, suddenly became excited again. Ignoring the white men next to the bed, Li Daniu lifted the quilt, got out of the bed, and ran directly to the bathroom. Without putting on his shoes, looking at the very strange face in the mirror, Li Daniu slapped himself again, and the mirror perfectly showed Li Daniu this very second. Degree action. Snapped. Li Daniu was even more excited, because this one hurt more than the previous one. Is there anything luckier than time travel? Li Daniu can answer with certainty. Yes, time travel to become a king who is about to ascend the throne. So, is there anything luckier than being a king who is about to ascend the throne? Li Daniu opened his trousers, and after taking a look, he could answer with certainty. Yes. But can /t tell you? Li Daniu, who was nervous in the bathroom for a while, began to think about why his body was hospitalized, and whether he could use the amnesia most commonly used by time travelers to avoid the embarrassment of not knowing anyone outside. But no matter what Li Daniu thinks, he can /t think of any memory about this body. If he didn't /t look at the face in the mirror, it is really not his own, and he speaks English like Mandarin. Li Daniu will definitely do it again. Doubt yourself or yourself. What about residual memory? Just when Li Daniu was hesitating how to face those people outside, he heard a knock on the door. Your Highness, are you okay? Do you need me to call the doctor for you? Call a doctor. Of course you don't /t need it, your body is great. I am fine. Li Daniu opened the door of the bathroom in a broken jar. So what if he doesn't /t know him? So what if I just have amnesia? Your Highness, are you really okay? Burns looked at the obvious new palm print on Li Daniu /s face, and was a little worried about his future. The king passed away, and the prince is stupid. What future will he have as prime minister? At all. Li Daniu looked at the strange eyes of the white man in front of him, and was a little worried. Did he see something? Are you? Having reached this point, Li Daniu knew that he could no longer hesitate, pretending that he couldn't /t remember, and asked tentatively. I am sorry, Your Royal Highness, I haven't /t introduced myself yet. My name is Burns, and I am the Prime Minister appointed by your father. Burns said, this is Hal, the head of our country /s security system. And Scanra, the head of foreign affairs. What /s the situation? I haven't /t said I lost my memory yet. Why did you start introducing it? Your Highness, if your health is really fine, I would like to introduce you to the situation in our country as soon as possible. After all, you have lived and studied in the United States for many years and have not returned to China, so you don't /t know much about it. For this reason, it /s awesome. Li Daniu, who didn't /t need to pretend to be amnesia for the time being, didn't /t dare to show his excitement. After all, the king passed away, so he suppressed his emotions. I am really fine, you can start any time. Li Daniu was eager to know what kind of privilege he had. After the four of them sat down on the sofa in the ward, Burns began to introduce the country that was about to be ruled by Li Daniu. His Royal Highness, according to the latest data, the sea level of our country has risen by 9.15 centimeters in 19 years compared to 1993. If global warming is not curbed, 50 years later, our country /s sea level will rise 9.15 centimeters. The sea level will rise by about 37.6 centimeters. Burns paused when he said this. 93 years plus 19 years, is this year 2012 or 2013? Li Daniu hasn't /t figured out which year he has traveled to. Reading www.uukeungshu.com was confused by Burns' introduction. Didn't /t you mean to introduce the situation of the country? What do you, a prime minister, care about sea level every day? Li Daniel felt that if he hadn't /T just arrived and was unfamiliar with the place, he would have dismissed Burns as the prime minister. When Burns saw that Li Daniel had no reaction at all when he heard the data, he sighed inwardly and continued. At that time, 60% of our country will completely sink into the sea. Middle. My grass. Is this Nima still the earth? Li Daniel couldn't /T help asking. At that time, how much area will our country have left? Burns glanced at Li Daniel in a strange way. Could it be that the Harvard of His Royal Highness is only paid by the king? I can /T understand such a simple math problem. Burns didn't /T know that Li Daniel really didn't /T know how big his country was. Your Highness, by then our country will only have 10.4 square kilometers left, and our country will have 11,000 people, plus some of the 10.4 square kilometers will not be suitable for living. Li Daniel is no longer in the mood to listen to what Burns is saying. A country with only 11,000 people is not as large as a small county in China, and most of it is about to be submerged. Crossing through the pit is dead. Excited, Li Daniel shouted this sentence in Chinese, and then passed out. His Royal Highness Prince. Call the doctor. God, is this God going to kill Tuvalu? UU Reading welcomes all book lovers to come and read. The latest, fastest, and hottest serial works are all in UU Reading. Mobile users please read here. Listen to the full novel at FameTV.info, direct link in the description.